Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Catherine. It's nice to meet you. I hope that you stay a while. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you like this video, and don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you like this video as well. Today's video is going to be really hard for me to film. I'm honestly not even 100% sure if I will upload this. As you can tell by the title, I want to talk about postpartum anxiety, and the reason I'm making this video is because I really hope that the more it gets talked about, the more that women will realize that they're not alone. Because I felt, I'll get into it a little bit, but I felt so alone, like I was the only person that could possibly be experiencing this, because I hadn't heard many stories of other women experiencing what I had gone through, especially in the beginning. So my hope for this video is that it just reaches one person, and you hear this, you hear me talking about it, and you know that you're not alone, and that you can get help. Like, you can reach out to your friends, your family, go to therapy like I've been doing. Just reach out and talk to someone, because you're not alone and it will be okay. Like, I know, even though right now I still don't feel, Theo's 11 months old, and I feel like I'm finally in a better place than I've been for the past 11 months, but it hasn't been an easy road to get here, but I know that it will continue to get better. So I guess what I'm saying is, if any of this resonates with you, like, it will be okay, and reach out to the ones that you trust, because they can help you a lot. See, I don't even know how to start talking about it. Theodore, my son, is 11 months old now, so it's been a little while. The time has gone by so fast, and he is like my light, the light of my life. He's like such a joy, and children are amazing, and this video is not like nothing to say that I don't enjoy being a mom. Like, it's probably the best and most favorite thing I've ever done so far. I just think it needs to be talked about more, like what you can actually go through. I loved being pregnant. Like, let's kind of just go back to the beginning. I loved being pregnant. I was that weird person that just absolutely loved it. Like, of course, by the end I got uncomfortable, because you have this like baby growing in your belly and all your organs are pushed around and you're tired all the time. But besides that, like, I didn't get morning sickness. I crossed my fingers. That's hopefully, if we have more kids, like, the experience, I would love to have the same experience again. I loved being pregnant. Like, absolutely loved it. I don't know, I kind of was like, okay, I can do this, I've got this. Like, if pregnancy is going this smoothly for me, then it should be great afterwards too. And I'll talk about this more on my channel too. I want to do a separate video on this, but we did have a home birth as well, and that went perfectly. Like, it was an amazing experience. I would definitely do it again. So going with pregnancy and the birth, like, those were amazing, absolutely amazing. It was the time after that I started to not feel like myself. And I have suffered from depression in the past, and maybe like 10 years ago was when it was at its worst. And I sought help then, so I kind of knew that there were some things starting to happen after he was born, that I needed to reach out and get help again. But the anxiety was something that I was not familiar with, I had not experienced before. Soon after he was born, like, obviously I had the hormones going through, where I was crying for no reason all the time. Like, I specifically remember looking out the window and telling Theo, like, I live in the Pacific Northwest in Oregon, and it rains a lot here, and I remember looking out the window and it was raining, and I told him, it's gonna rain a lot, like, as you grow older, whatever it was, and I just started bawling. Like, I couldn't even tell him about the weather without crying. But that part, I believe, was just like the hormones, because he wasn't even a week old. Like, your hormones just go crazy. But when I started to realize things weren't right, I would, gosh, this is so hard for me to talk about. I would be like finally ready to fall asleep or like finally relax if he was asleep. And I would have like flashes of images go through my mind of like the worst possible things happening to him. And I've always been like a worrywart. I always kind of assumed the worst. I did not want to cry for this video. I've always been a worrywart, but this was a whole new level. I just, like, I couldn't control it. They would just come out of nowhere, and all of a sudden I would be like scared the daylights out of me that something terrible was going to happen to him, and I couldn't sleep. Theo hasn't been a great sleeper in general, so you know, I think they say after like 5 or 6 weeks, it kind of hits you, that newborn, like the sleep deprivation really gets you. Well, it really does. So yeah, basically that was the first experience that I had with my anxiety kind of creeping up, and he was not even a week old when this started happening. So I'm at the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, baby blues, you know, I've heard of that, but I don't really feel overly sad about anything besides like the hormone fluctuations. But I felt pretty happy. You know, my husband was still home, he hadn't gone back to work yet. People are still coming over those first few weeks, and that helped a little bit. But it was when I think it really started spiraling when he was 3 months old and I went back to work. In hindsight, I don't think I was ready to go back to work at that time, but we didn't have the option. We needed the money. So I knew I had to go, and that's kind of like a topic for like a different topic I don't really want to go into. But it was not a healthy environment for me to go back to, already being in a really heightened state of anxiety, like freaking out about leaving him for the first time, while in the back of my mind I have all of these things of like, what's going to happen to him, what if this happens, you know. And I think to an extent that's normal, but this was like, I could not stop the thoughts. I couldn't sleep because I would be too anxious of what was going to happen the next day, because I knew I wouldn't be there. And even when I was home, I would still freak out, like, oh, am I too close to the edge of the stairs? It's hard to think of scenarios because there's just so many. Like, it was anything that I did during the day, I was constantly worried about what's going to happen. I do feel like I'm in a little bit better of a place to talk about it right now. But I still, like, I don't even know, like I said before, if I'm going to put this video up, because I feel like I can't cohesively explain, like, what was going on. I keep looking over here because I have the monitor. He's taking a nap right now, making sure he's not waking up. So that was around, like, he was 3 months old, and I actually just left my job to be a stay-at-home mom with him, and I wanted to... I've always known that I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but I also, like, I just didn't think it was in the cards for us for that to work out money-wise. I didn't, like, I'm kind of like kicking myself in hindsight because I've always, since, like, as long as I can remember, I've known that I wanted to stay home with my kids when I had them, and I guess I thought it would be easier to not, like, easier to work. I don't know how to explain it. I guess I thought it would be easier than it was to just, like, push through it because it's what we needed to do at the time. And I think that because of the postpartum anxiety that I was experiencing, plus me not being ready to go back to work, made it extremely difficult, and just, like, it was excruciating. I would come home and just be an emotional disaster, and I felt like I wasn't being the best version of myself for my son. I wasn't being the best version of myself for my husband, and I wasn't being the best version of myself for myself. Even today, I don't think I'm doing a very good job of that. I needed to be home to calm that anxiety a little bit, and I'd say like 80% of it was just work related and having to leave him. And I don't know, a better way to explain it than that. Just a weight's kind of lifted off my shoulders that I don't have to, like, I can sleep a little bit better at night because I'm not constantly thinking about I'm talking for 12 minutes already. I'm not constantly thinking about what I'm going to, how I'm going to get through the next day. It's enough for me to figure out how I'm going to wake up in the morning and get what I want to do done while taking care of him, because he, especially in the beginning, wanted to be held all the time. But this season of his life doesn't last for very long in the grand scheme of things. But it was really hard for me to look at my house as a huge mess and then feel like I'm not getting anything done, feel like I can't take care of myself, that I can't take care of my child. It's just like a huge downward spiral in my mind, and I get so trapped. So it's interesting when I look back at photos, because I think I gained, not that numbers on the scale or anything, but this kind of gives you like a little map of what happened. I gained 40 pounds when I was pregnant, which was good. That's what I needed to gain for him, which was perfect. It's the most I've ever weighed in my life, which it's always been hard for me to gain weight, so I was happy that I was able to do it for the pregnancy. And if I look back at photos of myself the first 3 months, and it can be gradual and it's different for every woman. Postpartum weight loss is like a huge sensitive topic as well, so I just want you, if you're watching this, listening to this, and you're in those early weeks and months, or even if you're further out than that, you're beautiful the way that you are. There is no reason that you have to get back to your old body. Embrace this new body that you have that gave you this beautiful child. And that's kind of the mindset that I've tried to adopt, but at the same time I can look back at photos and see just the progression of me not taking care of myself, and when the anxiety got worse, my appetite would just go away, and I'm still breastfeeding, and that's not a good combination to have. You do not want no appetite and be breastfeeding. I gained 40 pounds while I was pregnant and lost 50 pounds. I don't even know how many months after it was. Probably 5 or 6 months. When he was 5 or 6 months old, I can look back at photos and I just saw my face was round, and then right when I went back to work, that month or two afterwards, when things got really, really bad, you can see that I just got skinny so fast, and so I lost, now I'm gaining it back slowly, but I think I lost probably closer to 60 pounds total. So I lost I was 20 pounds lighter than my maybe 15 pounds lighter than my pre-pregnancy weight. And I normally don't weigh myself, but the only reason I have been is because I want to keep on top of it and see that reminder that, okay, I need to make sure that I force myself to eat today, which is not normally a problem that I have. Normally I'm give me everything, and 10 years ago when I was going through depression, I would eat everything in sight. So I'm used to, when I'm not feeling good, eating anything and everything. So this no appetite thing was not helpful, nor was it a good way for me to take care of myself and my child. I feel like I'm just rambling now. I don't know how much more I really am going to say on the topic right now. So like I said in the beginning of the video, I'm almost a year postpartum now, and I finally feel like I have 2 feet on the ground again. I am ready to just move forward and kind of move past it, and I have been seeing a therapist, which has helped immensely, and I highly recommend that if you need it. If you feel like you need it, or you feel like you don't have anyone in your life that you can talk to, or even if you do, I feel like I can talk to my husband, I can talk to my mom, I can talk to my best friend, but sometimes you just need that outside opinion and that help. I definitely feel like things are going to get better, and the biggest thing that I could have done for myself was get out of unhealthy situations that weren't serving me. And I think the reason that I didn't do that to start with is because it felt selfish to do that. this is definitely a time in my life where I needed to focus on myself. I needed to put myself first. I needed my family to be my priority, and I was just, I felt like I was hitting a wall every time I tried to do that. Every time I tried to to take care of myself, because I knew that's what I needed, it felt like I couldn't get anywhere, and I was just hitting a wall, and I was losing friends like left and right. It wasn't a good time, so I went to therapy, and it's been helping, and she's given me a lot of tools like to use every day when I start to feel really anxious, like your heart just starts beating like crazy. I feel like I can't breathe, and she gave me some like tips to help calm that, to figure out why. A big reason why, from a lot of the anxiety I was experiencing as well, was because I'm a people pleaser. I wanted everyone around me to be happy, and if I did anything that I felt like made someone unhappy, then I immediately was like, oh my god, like how did we get here? What did I do to make this happen? What can I do to fix it? Instead of stepping back and being like, I am responsible for my feelings about a situation and how I handle a situation, and that same is true for anybody else in my life. Like, they're responsible for their actions and feelings, and I'm responsible for mine. And that's a big lesson that I've learned. And other people's opinions don't matter. That is a big one. That's gonna take me some time to still get out of my head, because I feel like it matters to me, and even today it feels like it matters a lot what other people think of me, and a lot of anxiety comes from that. Like, what are they going to think if I decide to take more time for myself? What are they going to think if I say this or say that? And in doing that and starting to choose to do things for myself, finally, it showed me who was in my life because they cared about me, and who was in my life because they don't. Or who in my life didn't care about me. And that was a really hard lesson to learn, because I felt like I had a strong group of people around me, and it turns out I only had a handful. But I would rather have a handful of people than a room full of people that I think care about me, As I said before, I do feel like there's light at the end of the tunnel. This is not it's not going to be like this forever, but I do think it's important to talk about these things. Postpartum depression and the baby blues, I had heard about. Postpartum anxiety, hadn't really heard about that at all. I didn't know that it was a thing. I thought that part of it was just that I'm always a worrywart, and I always think about how things could possibly go, but this was different. And I know I'm not the greatest at explaining things sometimes, but I hope that this kind of made sense to you and maybe resonated with some of you. I will also link the site that I use down below. It's not sponsored, or I'm not affiliated with them or anything, but I will link the site down below that I've been using for therapy, because I can do it from home, so that's really nice. I don't have to try to go anywhere with Theo, because that was another, especially in the beginning, that was a huge point of anxiety for me, just to leave the house with him by myself. Scared the living daylights out of me, more so than it should have. So I guess maybe I should have written a list of things, because I always lose track. I just wanted to be real and honest with you guys about what's been going on. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that if you are going through something like this, that you reach out and get help, because it will get better and it will be okay.